how could this even happen nowadays? Let's begin. Now, of course, I don't know about you, but I am unfortunately old enough to remember the Bob Hoskins BT advert saying it's good to talk. Can you remember that? Either way, that probably led to loads of people actually picking up the phone and doing just that. However, a lot of people who would presumably think it's good to talk is people in trouble and actually need either the police or the ambulance or maybe the fire service. I mean, just imagine it. Someone's either broken into your home, attacked you, or you need the ambulance or whatever. So you do what we're all told to do. Call 999 and someone will be on the way. But just think how worrying that would actually be if when calling 999, you either couldn't get through, you got cut off or whatever. And unfortunately for BT, let's just say they're in quite a bit of trouble because according to this article, it says that BT has fined £17.5 million for a catastrophic failure of the 999 call system. But you know, how long was it for? Was it only for 5 or 10 minutes? The usual thing where they just, it seems, have to turn something off and on again to make it work. Well, unfortunately not. A lot of people were, in some cases, unable to get through to them after BT failed to respond to a malfunction in an emergency call system that lasted more than 10 hours. 10 hours! Just think how many people would have tried to call 999 in that time. And what do you reckon? 5,000? 10,000? Well, no. Apparently, according to this, it affected 14,000 emergency calls for more than 12,000 callers in June 2023. And Ofcom said that the telecoms giant lacked sufficient warning systems and it did not have accurate procedures to assess and mitigate the outage. Now, I don't know about you, but BT, they're one of the first, presumably, phone companies out there. They're not like a start-up company, are they? So you'd think they'd actually know about this already, presumably, and would have a backup in place just in case something happened. Well, it looks like they didn't, and they got fined for it. But I don't know about you, but just £17.5 million fine for a company that presumably makes millions and millions of pounds. I mean, surely if anything, that's got to be quite lenient, hasn't it? So what actually happened then? Well, it says the error led to handlers, call handlers that is, being logged out, calls being disconnected or dropped once transferred to the emergency services, and calls being returned to the queue. But, you know, don't worry, because it added that the disruption was found to be a configuration error in a file on BT's server, so I'm guessing that was easy for them to fix, which caused the call handlers' apparently systems to restart as they received a call during the first hour of the crisis. And BT, though, they were unable to find the cause of the issue and attempted to switch to a disaster recovery platform after around about an hour. Well, hang on a minute. Why wasn't this automatically switched over within the first minute or so of this happening? Surely that should be an automatic system. Otherwise, aren't lives at stake? And therefore, there's no excuse for this in my eyes, and actually this system now needs to be automatic in my opinion. But you know, it's okay, because the company launched, wait for this, the Disaster Recovery Platform. Sounds a bit like a Labour policy, doesn't it? Anyway, they launched that successfully more than 2 hours after the issue started, and the usual service though was not restored as the platform struggled with demand. Well, there's no surprise there, is it? Why was it allowed to go on for so long? It shouldn't have been, should it? Anyway, the issue lasted from 6:24 in the morning to 4:56 p.m. on June 25th last year. So what have they all said about this? Well, apparently Ofcom's Director of Enforcement, Sue Carter, said being able to contact the emergency services can mean the difference between life and death. Well, yeah, I don't know about you, but I hope she does very well at stating the bloody obvious awards later on this year. But anyway, so in the event of any disruption to their networks, providers must be ready to respond quickly and effectively. Something which I'm guessing 2 hours in an emergency isn't really much of a response, eh? In this case, it says BT fell woefully short of its responsibilities and was ill prepared to deal with such a large-scale outage, putting its customers at an unacceptable risk. Which obviously is why they got the fine. However, don't you think that would be much better if BT was forced to pay out some sort of compensation to the people who had to go through the stress of calling them at what must have been a horrible time in their lives? Because let's face it, you don't ring up 999 for a chat, do you, eh? And in this day and age, everyone seems to be banging on about AI. Well, how about you get, or they get rather, an AI program that would alert them of this more quickly and automatically switch it over, eh?